Different. Welcome in this video. I am going to introduce you today to the education of Chinese medicine. I'm going to tell you some things about Chinese medicine, maybe change your ideas about what you should do in case you want to study Chinese medicine, because this is actually for you when you are having the plan to go study Chinese medicine, to give you an idea about what Chinese medicine is about and what kind of school is most suitable for you. And this has to do a little bit with several things that you think that you know about Chinese medicine, things that you believe about Chinese medicine, things that you feel about Chinese medicine, and actually the things that we actually do when we are using Chinese medicine. There are unfortunately a lot of misunderstandings in Chinese medicine, and propagation of these mistakes, these errors of thoughts or experiences, or what we read about it, have to do a lot with populism, and this populism is damaging for the future reputation of Chinese medicine. So this is what is my interest in this. I am a teacher of Chinese medicine. I teach at the IOC Daoland Chinese medicine school. We have a bachelor master program, and I'm going to tell you later on in the video about this, because I think this is offering the alternative and the pathway towards a future for Chinese medicine. But my main concern is that over the time of my study, which I started when I was 11 and now I am in the meantime almost 60, and I was using Chinese medicine for a particular kind of purpose, namely to heal myself from serious disease as a child that I was born with, and I was not predicted to become older than 40-45 years, so I had a lot of benefit from what I learned about Chinese medicine. But my perspective over time, and also my association with Chinese Gongfu sports and the history and the philosophy behind that, has been a little bit different than some people. But I'm quite sure that a large percentage of people who study Chinese medicine or want to go study Chinese medicine, they have a sort of similar background, namely that they had a benefit from Chinese medicine, and as a result of that, they want to use that. So it is not about whether a method works or doesn't work. This story is just about what do you actually want to study. What do you think you know about Chinese medicine? This is the first important thing. And the thing is that you know about Chinese medicine is that it worked for you at a certain time, or that it is holistic, or that the education is well organized and it guarantees a particular kind of safety because of the agreements that I made with insurance companies or with the government or educational institutes who are providing a certain kind of basis in Chinese medicine. And my story is going to show you something what we can call fake arguments or false arguments, and proper arguments about these kind of things, because the thing is that yes, that is true, these kind of things, they are there, but Chinese medicine has also changed a lot in the last 100 years, and in this transformation that it went through, it didn't advance in the direction that was positive for Chinese medicine, because in the situation as it is right now, the actual Chinese medicine seems to disappear very rapidly. There's very few teachers who are able or willing to teach Chinese medicine in the right context, and fortunately my school is one of the few, and I had some positive reactions on that in China. It is unfortunate that governments all over Asia, they are trying to transform their Asian natural medicines to make it fit with Western medicine, to make it submissive to Western medicine, and that is actually the reason why I do the school that I run from my perspective as a form of protest. Many people think that Chinese medicine is about natural medicine, and to a degree that is true. We don't have a lot of time to go very deep into it, but in a way that is true. But Chinese medicine is specifically about intervening with processes that are going downward. In Chinese medicine, you do not work with a fact, but you work with a trend, and you try to change trends. So that means that Chinese medicine is trying to influence you from a particular stage towards another stage over a longer time. And yes, there is intervention for diseases and all kind of other things, but these kind of interventions, they are in the worst situation that people are in, and most of the people, they are not there. So there's a large range of Chinese medicine that is not being addressed usually in education, and this is what I specifically are going to talk about, because it is 80% of all the people in the world who are actually in need of a particular kind of support to prevent that they get into the disaster situation. I mean, it's always better to prevent a leak in your boat than to plug a hole with your clothes, because in the night it's going to be cold. what we feel about Chinese medicine, that's for everybody the same, is that Chinese medicine, besides being natural, maybe is holist, or maybe is a spiritual medicine, or has associations with things that we hold valid. We know everybody who is in this situation that you want to decide about Chinese medicine. You do that out of a sort of rebelliousness against the regular medicine, or against your parents, or against your friends, or against the city where you live, or against the machinations of large corporate institutes. I get that completely, because this is also the reason why I started this, and this is a feeling that we have, and you have to understand that this is about that we are curious about what Chinese medicine is about and why it is so attractive exactly, and therefore the purity, the actual authenticity of Chinese medicine as it was before it became part of modern corporate society and try to adapt to it. This is actually what we are looking for. So this is a very important part, and it means that there are a few things that we need to do and that we are currently maybe not doing. And this is also what we're going to talk about. Because when we are going to study Chinese medicine, we are aiming to study real Chinese medicine, but the reality is that very often we learn a bookish form of Chinese medicine, and this bookish form of Chinese medicine is to a large degree transformed into a submissive thing towards Western medicine. That means that 70% of what you're learning or more is actually Western medicine with a little bit of a Chinese dressing. So this is not exactly what you were going to, and you discover that usually somewhere during your studies or after your studies, and you realize like, actually what I'm learning is maybe safe, maybe well organized, maybe it guarantees me protection from the government or from insurance companies or something like this. But it is not what I wanted to study, because it is not Chinese. And this is not the traditional, it's not the holist, it is not the natural medicine that I plan to study. This is actually Western medicine, working with Western ideas, Western diseases, Western analysis and stuff like this. And even though it talks about yin yang, wu xing and so on, it is all based on Western esoterics. And they talk about qi, but they call it energy, and this is Western esoterics. This has nothing to do with Chinese medicine at all. But by the time that you discover that, for most people, it is that they have invested a lot of time in that study, and maybe a lot of money also at the same time, because studying is not always cheap. And as a result of that, they feel stuck in that, and they want to finish it, and then hopefully later they can correct it, and then it becomes a little bit like a mishmash of things that they eventually do, and as a result that they get only more and more confused. So this is what is the opposite side of what we are going to do, and this is where we're going to talk about, because this is what I used as a motivation also to set up my school a long time ago. And I was a local school here in the Netherlands. I started having international students from all over the world. I always did everything very slow and small because I was investigating this whole Chinese medicine thing and what is actually part of it. And Chinese medicine has a lot of different kind of parts of it, and that is usually not addressed in Chinese medicine schools. You either study acupuncture or herbal medicine or massage or something like this. But all these kind of things, they are unified in a particular kind of thing. And yes, there is differences between the way how you approach herbal medicine and the way how you approach acupuncture and massage. But there's also full talismanic writing, there is ritualization, there is the Daoyin and the Qigong and the breath practices, all kind of movement and meditative practices and so on, which are very essential in your learning process for Chinese medicine, because these provide the means to prove the theory. The practices actually provide the means, that's the laboratory that provides the means for the theory. So what we have done in the Daoland program is to set out in a 50-50 basis theory and practice, that you do all kind of practices. You learn from a very early point onward. You learn to earn your money, to make sure that you earn the money for your studies, but also for your daily life. You start working on building a community around yourself in a very early stage of your program. And as a result of that, you start using the people in your classes as test material to see if theories actually are right or not, what words actually mean, and so on and so on. And you find that 90% of the way how people are translating from Chinese to European languages are false. It's not just about qi and energy, but it is about a lot of other things. The wu xing is wrongly translated, yin yang is wrongly translated, Pakwa is wrongly translated, and so on and so forth. So all kind of things, they are being skewed in meaning to fit our Western understanding. And this is what we actually wanted to move away from, because these Western understandings, they were actually what made us rebel, and that caused us to want to go do something else. That means that we have to enculturate ourselves a little bit in another culture. And as a result of that, we learn something about our own culture, but we also learn something about another culture. And this is the pathway that IOC Daoland actually chooses for you. So when you sign up for this program, what you do at the moment when you sign up, you start working on a plan about what you actually want to study. So you privatize yourself in the sense that you create your own study program. The only thing that the Daoland program does, besides the online materials like videos, text, online classes, that we are going to talk and discuss about topics and so on, questionnaires, writing papers, and so on and so forth, all their normal academic things, which belong to individual universities, like, well, there's some very famous ones like Harvard. So we associate ourselves also with this kind of programs, the independence, and also the independence of the individuals and the cooperation between the individuals at the same time, because we are a community of learners. And in that program, you go find your own direction. This is also in the bachelor program intended to help you set out your understanding for your master program. So at the moment when you go move to your master program after 2 years, you have to have a good understanding what you want to do. So you have 2 years to learn that, and then you learn basically on different parts. You learn theoretical foundation. You learn exercises for setting up your community, and exercises includes massage, can include rejuvenation techniques so that you can help people look and feel younger. Diet, food medicine, so that you learn to help people with their diet and to adjust their food regimens. You learn to do counseling with the help of yin yang, using, and so on and so forth. And the I Ching, of course, because that is a major tool. Sun Tzu Miao, very famous Chinese medicine doctor, he said you cannot learn Chinese medicine without learning also the I Ching. So the I Ching is one of our core courses within the whole, and you should not forget that. That is something that is unique for our school, including all the exercises that help you to get to work. We have the trainings for you to make sure that you are setting up your training properly and that you are getting your community, so that after 2 years, when you're finishing with your specialization in health practices, that's the 80% of things, that's getting people from before they get sick towards being able to manage themselves. This trajectory, you're going to be a specialist inside, and from there you can go to your master program where you're going to learn either how to teach or how to treat with disease, or maybe a combination of both, or maybe you want to do research, or you want to go into presentation, book writing, video making, and so on and so forth. All these kind of things are all part of the program. It's a very wide scope of studies which are all individualized, and even though we're coming together as groups, we're learning from each other, we're supporting each other, and we're using each other's capacities and qualities, which is also reflected in your point system, because even in your bachelor program you have 25% of the study that you have to figure out by yourself how you're going to fill that in, and how you fill that in is going to provide also 25% of all your points to be able to graduate and to start working on your final bachelor paper. As a result of that, you create something unique, namely your own understanding, but you also create a unique understanding of Chinese culture in a very deep level, and you understand its natural science to a very deep level, and this is the reason why you wanted to study this. And then from there you start doing your therapeutic work, and then you will be as effective, or maybe even more effective depending on your dedication, than somebody who went to the bookish kind of studies that people are doing at average Chinese medicine schools. This study is not about the money that the school has to make. The money that comes in is going to be invested all the time in the development of the school. It is a non-profit organization, so we are not trying to become rich as individual teachers. We get a very low pay. Also, when you are going to be so far as to become a teacher, you're going to get a very low pay, because that is part of the idealism of the profession. And also, when we take care of students, we learn a lot about the morality of how to take care of people. That means that people who can afford, they will afford, and people who cannot afford, they cannot afford. For the same reason, we have a fixed price for the study. But at the moment, when you go into contact with me to talk about these things, you say like, but I have very little income. come with a proposal how you think it will be interesting to accept you as a student for a lower pay. So come with a proposal about what you can afford and how you want to do that. For instance, one student came with the idea like, okay, when I start making money, I can now afford this and this and this amount, but if I start making money, I can make that reservation, this and this and this, so I can catch up with my payments, and then eventually this and this. And that worked really very fine. This person now makes about 2,000 euros per month with his classes and with his massages and stuff like this. So let's try this. The people who have studied at this program over time, they were all very happy and very loyal to the content of the study, for the simple reason that they realized like this is actually really true. What I have done in the study, I have used my extensive life in the Wudang Daoist community and in Chinese management universities, where I was talking and working and studying with different professors. And I've included all these kind of things to create that kind of wide perspective where neidan, yangshen, taijigongfu, qigong, braiding, and so on is all part of your training, because your self-cultivation also is a percentage of your study. And that is the most important part. It says in the Huangdi Neijing, if you do not do that self-cultivation, your understanding of Chinese medicine will always be terrible. Just like when you don't have the right morality towards the people that you're working for, your medicine will always be selfish. So I hope this was very helpful for you and that you are going to have a good use for this video. It is about 70 minutes that this video is long to explain you these kind of things. That seems to be like a very long time, but it's actually very short. I gave you a lot of information, and the thing that you now have to do is either to contact me to ask me questions. You can do that below, of course, in the comments, or you can just very simply sign up and follow the link towards the sign up page. I look forward to see you soon and to be part of the program. Every year we start at the beginning of the year with a new program, and every time when a class is full, because it's limited in amount of people that we have inside each program, to make sure that we have the best quality of classes. So it's not like endless amount of groups of people who are coming in.